Additionally, here's your new function. You ready for this? I can go in and add the specific columns and change the column orders that I want to add for me. Now, keeping in mind, hey, guess what? It's still based off of what you have rights to do, okay? You may not always have the ability to do that, but if you're given that right, if it's turned on for you, then you can go in and add the ones you need to, okay? That really becomes helpful. Now, one of the biggest questions that I've been asked, especially when we get into incidents and things of that nature, is, well, this is all well and good, but what if I have more fields? What if I've created more fields on here? Sure. I want to go in and I want to change the screen configuration, and I can add or modify the screen itself or add a new field that I have populated in my developer studio. Okay, so I can go in and add those as needed. One last thing, here's the biggest hurdle that we always overcome is I like my old forms. I like doing it the old way. I want to be able to do it the old way because I like that. Guess what? It hasn't gone away. I can still go in and populate the information. I can still go in and say, at Joe or Joe's information, or fill it out the way I need to. We'll say Joe, and I can go in and add Joe Unser. Notice I didn't type in at, or when I did, I actually populated it backwards and said, hey, let me just type in Joe. Still got the old ways to do things. And what we've noticed is we've gone from 3 fields down to 1 required field. If I look at the required fields, you got instant title, you got impact, you got urgency. Both of those are filled in. So all I have to do is add a title, and we say needs new laptop. And we can save that ticket. That's how easy it is for Smart IT. It takes more time for me to explain how to use it than it does for me to actually log a ticket. For me, that becomes very beneficial, becomes a lot easier in my day-to-day operations. I really wish I had had this back when I was working on the help desk, and certainly when I was managing the help desk. So let's actually look at one other part, okay? We have the 2 aspects, right? The Smart IT is, and we'll call it what it is, right? Smart IT for the smart folks, the technology folks, the gurus, the propeller heads. Yes, I can say that because I was a developer at one point in my past life. Thankfully, I'm not that anymore. But we're able to go in and look at some of the different parts that deals with my IT, my functions, the things that I can do, mine, right? And that's where we start breaking it out, the end user or configurable user experience overall. And when we deal with things like that, we start looking at the ability to organize services to make them easier discoverable. Now, granted, that's on the administrative side, but I want to make it easy for my end user community overall. And when I do so, what I need is those things at my fingertips when I need them, wherever I am. And that's the benefit of MyIT, is being able to have that at my fingertips based off of who I am, based off of what I'm trying to do. And we're going to log in as Mary in this case. I'm going to share my location, and we'll talk about that in a moment and why it's even asking me for location. But we start looking at the catalog updated information, okay? We've got that service catalog, being able to go in and say, hey, I want it all at my fingertips. What is offered to me? I want it Amazon-like. I want to be able to do, having the good customer service. I want to be able to have, if I order this, can I also have this? We get into Amazon a lot, especially with the upcoming holidays, or buying presents for folks and things. I buy one thing, it tells me, hey, here's 20 other things that you can buy to go with this. You know what? Sometimes that is really, really a downfall. I have to control things at that point. But that's what it's for. That's why you would do this, right? And so when we look at this, you start looking at the common IT requests or view all of them. The quick links, being able to go not only internal with virtual agent or looking at service level customer dashboard, but being able to go externally. And you see, in this case, BMC webmail. So it goes externally, intranet, externally. So I have that information on my fingertips based off of the way that we have the catalog distributed and the services that are allowed or entitled to those groups or individuals. The other side of it, you see the nice little light bulbs? Those light bulbs are just that. It's the knowledge articles. Aha, right? How to tie a tie is an example. Resetting your password with a text message, how to change your password. This becomes one of those things at 2 o'clock in the morning. I want to know how to reset my password. And so what it has done is it actually launches a PDF for me. So I have this step-by-step process. I have those things at my fingertips. And it becomes very beneficial regardless of what I'm trying to do on a day-to-day basis, because now I have those things that make it truly self-service. If I look at the things that are updates, and I'm not going to go through each one of those tabs, so keep that in mind, but we look at the updated information, okay? This is my feed. So for those of you that are social media, you have your feed on a day-to-day basis, right? I want to see what's going on in my feed. In this case, you can see Mary Mann checked into the break area. I'm actually logged in as Mary Mann. You can see that at the upper right-hand side. I logged into the break area. I can see that the projector's not working. I see that there's a personal computer issue. But if I start scrolling down a little bit more, I start looking at the approvals that I have to do. We talked about approval anywhere, right? So I can actually scroll down and see that. Well, that's great, Bill, but I don't want to scroll. I don't want to have to do that. That's okay. Not a problem. I can go over to my little checkbox. You see my approvals, and now I've got my list right here in front of me. Okay, I see this one's on hold. I see that this travel request is normal. I get to see that bit of information based off of what I'm trying to look for. And I also see information specific to who I am, or if I were to log in or look at Alan's information, I can see that he is available. I can see he's not following me. And again, back to the mobile functionality, I can click on the button there and call him should I need to do so. Now, what you'll notice is right below that is that location function, okay? That location becomes very beneficial for two factors. Number one, it helps me when we're looking at where I am going or how am I getting to a spot. And what I mean by that is if I look at the location data, I'm going to share my location again. I can see where I'm located as well as being able to say, hey, guess what? When I am in BMC Houston, or if I go to the McLean office, and I use it quite often when I'm in McLean, I go in and see specific pieces, patterns, and parts of how I need to do things. And what I mean by that, if I look at BMC Houston, if I clicked on my arrow, then I had the directions, okay? But by looking at it from clicking into the location, I start looking at it from a map perspective, okay? I can see first floor, I can see EBC, or the Executive Briefing Center, which is in our Houston office. And in doing so, I start looking at the different icons that are on my screen. Those different icons can be anything from a projector to a coffee maker to a printer to a phone system to a picture to a fill-in-the-blank, okay? Now, these maps that you see are loaded by you or uploaded by you, if you will. They're a layout of your specific organization. They're a layout of what's going on in your location, if you will. And so by having those at your fingertips, what we start looking at is have actionable items. What I mean by that is if we look at, just the things that are happening nowadays, and as I'm looking at this, I start looking at the things that are happening overall. Where can I go if there is a disaster, okay? You look at Hurricane Sandy. Where did everybody need to go? Do they need to go to their home and be evacuated totally, or what? You look at some of the different workplace violence examples. I need to find out a shelter-in-place area, okay? So you have a SIP plan in place. I go in and also, or additionally, go in and see certain other bits of information, such as management desk. I want to go in and find specific areas. I want to know, are these places that I can go to? I can follow them. I can go in and say, hey, these are available or not available, or whatever it is, okay? And so by having that information at my fingertips, it starts making my life a little easier, okay? Now, not always are you going to sit there and deal with, hey, let me find it here, or let me go here to this location. The other part about MyIT is being able to do things like log a ticket a little bit quicker, a little bit faster, right? So what we'll do is we'll utilize what's called the super box, okay? That super box, I don't name it, folks. I just push it. That's just the way it goes. Sorry. But what we do is, if you remember in Smart IT, we were able to go in and log that information and have it at my fingertips, right? So if we were going in and said, I cannot connect to at Wi-Fi, and yes, you did see me using the @ symbol there, because I want to make sure that it gets tagged for a specific group of people, okay? I want to make sure that Wi-Fi is also being utilized for the people that are monitoring that. Additionally, I went in and typed in exclamation mark, and I can submit that. So all I did was said, I cannot connect to Wi-Fi, hit incident, and then hit submit. That quickly, I'm able to go in and log that information. Should it be needed, or should I need that overall, I can say, hey, I need information. I need somebody to help me out with that. So I can go in and log a ticket, and you see my request number here. I can go in and look at it. I can find out what the turnaround time is. I can see the details associated to it. I can see any attachments associated to it. I can even go in and request it again. Additionally, let's say that I need email. And what happens is that's all I typed, right? I could just type in email, and it would have been just fine. But I start looking at, again, the light bulb, right? Unable to connect to email. I can go in and look at that knowledge article as it pertains to me. Is this something that was helpful? Yes. And in doing so, what that has allowed me to do is gather that L0 functionality, be able to search for that information and have it at my fingertips, and be able to work as I need to on a day-to-day basis. Now, I can go in and undo it. I can go in and type in some other data, some other information, or what have you. Additionally, keeping in mind that this can also integrate with your calendaring system so that you can go in and reserve certain areas. I can go in and reserve a room. I can log a problem or ticket with. We used the example in a previous demo. I can go into the Brazos room. If I'm actually reserving that room, I can go in and say, hey, there's a problem with the temperature. I can say there's a lighting issue, or I can report another request. And by doing so, I can go in and fill in the dots, if you will. Is the light working, yes or no? Is there more than one bulb out? We'll say yes. What's the urgency of it? It's critical. I can attach a file. If it's something that's got a barcode and you're using the mobile device, I can go in and scan the barcode as well. So easy to use, easy to utilize on a day-to-day basis. And that's why we've implemented, why we started using MyIT, is to make our lives easier. Now, a couple other things before we close this out is we start looking at the overall platform. Is it easier? How are we using it? It's a smarter CMDB. We start dealing with, the big green part comes down to exactly what we're talking about here, non-invasive upgrades. What I mean by that is you can do upgrade in place without having to do the stutter steps. If you're 7604, SP2 or greater, then you can do an upgrade in place with no issues. The greater part of that is being able to do it with the platform and being able to go in and fill in the blanks. So we look at the overall wizard approach, if you will. Start here, prepare and plan, prepare staging. Number 3, restrict changes. Number 4, back up the data. Number 5, if you go across the screen to the staging database, you start looking at the different pieces and parts. This is where RightStar can help you out, is they can go in and make sure that you've got the database backed up. They can make sure that you've got all the ducks in a row, making sure that you've got all the pieces and parts ready before you click that go live button, okay? Keeping in mind that if you're on a pre-7604, you have to go in and create overlays, and then you can go through the process. So you'll see number 6 on the diagram, far right-hand side under staging server. I can go in and upgrade those or set up the overlays first. And so the rest of it starts going in and dealing with reconciliation from different applications, making sure that you can quickly reconcile customizations. I can compare from one area to another area to another area, as well as being able to go in and do archiving. Wait, did he say we can do archiving now? Yes, we can do archiving of information. Now, there was this thing that was posted up on the community site. Here's the step-by-step process. Here's what you do. Here's how you do it. No more do you have to use that. Keeping in mind, this is with the latest and greatest. Another reason to upgrade is to do it so you can use archiving, so you can have that function. And if you like doing it the old way, that's fine. You can still do that. Just know that we're trying to make things easier. We're trying to make it a lot easier overall. We have a standardized approach to do so. And you can see, again, my 3 areas in doing development or promoting code from one to the other. It's not just about hey, here's all your out-of-the-box functions, although that's what we're trying to go for. Sometimes that is not feasible. And so that's when we look at it overall.